while at the Iowa Knife Museum.
Being snowed in kind of sucks. But at least if you're snowed in at the Iowa Knife Museum and you got like Rotten Evos everywhere laying around, it's not a bad day. Let's go in and maybe do a little looky-loo at this guy on the table. What do we have here? We got the Rotten Evo. You saw me walking in here in the snow, playing with this Rotten Evo, being happy to be snowbound here at the Iowa Knife Museum. Iowa Knife Museum. I'm from Florida. I'm not used to, what is it now? I think I heard it was -4. No, not -4. 4 degrees, but by, it's going to be -10 or something by morning. -12, -10 to 12, something like that. We, from Floridians, we don't know negative anything. We're not negative anything. If it gets down below 32, down below freezing in Florida, it's like, whoa, it's cold. But -12? Is that even a thing? We don't know. Anyway, so since I'm stuck here, they let me play with this Evo. And they also said I could open this package that just came. Well, it didn't just came because we're snowed in. So it came a few days ago and they hadn't opened it yet. Another little addition. I think they said it was some kind of more, budgety, not a super expensive deal like this Rotten Evo. But go ahead and use this Rotten Evo to open it up. No, we ain't doing that. This is the museum's knife. And I'm going to go ahead and put it away for a minute. And then we will talk about it after I open this package. Because this is just like kind of a little side benefit that I get to open a package for the museum. That's pretty cool. What we'll use is one of the museum's loaners. They have loaner knives, and they're not really loaner knives. They're more like you can mess with these knives to see what they're like. And they're not any of the super high-end ones. Like this one is a QSP. I don't remember the name of it. It's kind of ugly. So we'll use this QSP to open this package. And we'll see what we got. A Kershaw.
Every time I say Kershaw, take a drink responsibly.
Oh, I think they said that maybe it was 2 Kershaws? I don't know. We'll see. So we'll put away the QSP that, I don't know, not my favorite. Kind of an ugly blade. Let's see. It's heavy. I think it might be 2 Kershaws. Okay, it's the Kershaw.
Drink!
Natrix, it says on here. I've had those before. So maybe it's 2 different Natrices. Okay, that's the bit. Wow, it's so dirty. Holy cow. We got a dirt monster sending us knives. Look at this. Holy cow. I hope they got a really good deal on it. Maybe they just needed a Kershaw Natrix for their deal that they didn't have. They have a lack of Kershaw in the museum. I think this one is also a Kershaw, but I forget which one. Oh, another Natrix, the smaller, with the carbon fiber overlay. Holy cow, what did they do to these poor... Look at the dirt in there. They took them to the beach? Jesus Christ. Okay, that's nice. Okay, yeah, it's not terrible. The blade's got a funny little ding right there, but really it looks pretty sharp. Yeah, it does actually look pretty sharp. Huh. Let's see. Oh, yeah, okay. Pretty nice action, even though it's literally full of dirt. Holy crap, what is all that shit? Boy, I can't really reverse flick it too well. Okay. Boy, the flipper's a little... Okay, you just got to get used to it. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Okay, and these will go into the area, I think, where you're allowed to mess with the knives, because we'll get them cleaned up and oiled. I help out here sometimes, so that's some kind of shit that I can actually do is I help clean up, old knives that are coming into the museum. Let's see, let's get the action on this guy. That's a little better, and we get them cleaned up and oiled and ready to go. A little loosey goosey, man. No, look at that, centering's off, and the pivot's not loose. So if we want to get that centered, we'll have to do the old adjustment trick where we loosen up the body screws, push the blade the opposite way, and then tighten them back up again. See if that works. All right, so what do we got for these Natrices? Let's kind of give them a quick review. G10 bodies, but then they have these inset lock pieces. What do they call that? Damn it, I'll put it up here. I forget what it's called, but it's like, yeah, partial liner lock thing, bolster lock. No, it's not a bolster lock either. Anyway, these lock parts right here are steel, and they are bolted into the frame, or into the this G10 scale, or well, I guess you could call it G10 frame, because the whole frame is G10. The only steel part really is the lock part, and it's bolted in. You can see the little bolts right there underneath the pocket clip. The ones in front of the pocket clip screws right there. Well, anyway, they're in there, and that holds it in there, and that's what locks the knife. And it has sort of a, it's sort of a built-in spring, so it can move over and do what it's supposed to do, just like basically it works like a frame lock, in that if you grab it hard, you're also pushing the lock in and making it stronger. But they're pretty light because they don't really have even a full steel liner underneath the G10. I think they're 8CR, so not the best steel, but it's not the worst steel either. Yeah, it's got pretty good action, really, even though it's not centered. Or the reverse flick is not the best because that fuller is not super deep. So my finger's just kind of slipping out of it. It's not bad. On the smaller one, I think they call this the mid-size Natrix, and this is the Natrix XL. And it is a good size knife. Let's see, do we have a tape measure around? I want to say the blade's close to 4 inches on this one. Let's say it's 3.8 or 3.9. Right around 4 inches almost. And then this guy, I want to say, is 3.3. That's my total guess. And we will fix it right up here, respectively, the Natrix regular size and the XL, their real sizes. Boy, I'm not getting a reverse flick on this guy. Yeah, takes some work to figure that out. Or maybe a little modification. They don't like me to mod their knives. I always offer, let me do a little modding on your knives. And they're all like, no, leave them alone. Pry bar, leave alone our knives. All right, so what do we got? We got tall, fairly flat grind, or mostly full flat grind, with a fuller. We got a nice jimped little thumb ramp there. It's got a flipper tab. Pretty nice little flipper tab, not sticking out too much. Boy, how dirty this thing is, bugs me. I should have cleaned it up first, but then I wouldn't be able to unbox it, so. And you couldn't see how gross it is. Their pocket clips are always okay. And yeah, they let you put these in your pocket. So, but you have to take them back out. You can't leave the museum with them in your pocket. Yeah, it's actually not a bad little clip. Not bad. Kind of a semi-floating back spacer that has little holes along it so you can see past it. Kind of neat. I think it's G10 too. I don't know. Actually, I think that's injection molded nylon. So that's a thing I didn't know. Yeah, nylon back spacer, I think. Probably fiber reinforced nylon, FRN. The stop pin always kind of bugs me on these because it's right into the G10. There's nothing metal holding it, so it's okay. They seem to hold. I've had a few and they never had a problem yet. That is kind of a tall order for that thin bit of G10 though, to hold that stop pin for all your flipping shenanigans and not have it somehow move or get loose or something. Reversible pocket clip. Let's see. Could we use it left-handed? I think so, yeah. So it's probably a decent left-handed knife. Both have a reversible pocket clip. They have a neat pivot, big fat pivot bolt, or I guess it's the screw top. And it, when you put it in, it stays pretty well and doesn't get loose. This is one of the few, knives on the budgety end that don't ever seem to come loose. And I've probably had 3 or 4. And never had one really come loose, the pivot. Like, most budgets have a pivot that comes loose. They're always coming loose all the time, it seems like. Is this guy loose? Yeah, here's a cheapo Camillus, and its pivot's loose right now. Probably somebody tightened it recently, and it's already loose. Look at that. Ridiculous. So it's very common for the pivots to come loose, but these are staying pretty good. All right, you know what? Enough Kershaw. Let's get back to, I had to clean all the dirt off my hands from those Kershaws. The dirty, dirty Kershaws. Let's get back to this Rotten Evo. Huh? Oof. Ridiculous. Look at that. I'm gonna clean this thing off with a nice clean paper towel. Clean my dirties off of it. My touchies. All right, so look at that finish. That, I don't know, it's like a hand-rubbed finish, I guess you would call it. And it all follows that same Well, no, actually no. So this one goes parallel to these, but then this top swedge, the lines on it are parallel to itself that way. Look how thick that blade stock is. Let's compare it to the Natrix. Yeah, it's another order of magnitude past the Natrix. No, I know technically not an order of magnitude. It's not 10 times what the Natrix is, but that is a beast. It is a heavy, man, this thing is kind of scary. You pull open the lock bar, right? And you're like, let's get the blade to drop, and it won't drop. Then all of a sudden, it just drops and comes down your finger and cuts your finger open. I was reviewing this, or looking at it the other day, doing a review, and I didn't really like my review. I'll put a little bit of it up here. And I cut myself with it, and it's healed. Now, it wasn't very deep.
Sometime earlier.
Thing is not quite as heavy as it looks. It's pretty heavy, but I think it might be below, oh, I just cut myself with it. It might be below 6 inches. That's what she said. Let me not get blood on this knife.
Back to the present.
So, you got to watch these guys, man. Yeah, they're a little scary because their blade is so heavy. And then sometimes it feels like it's going to come down slow, then all of a sudden it drops down fast. The that kind of hand rubbed finish lines goes onto the body. They're all parallel. All the lines except for that set there are all parallel. The lines on the body, lines on the ginormous pocket clip. Pocket clip is big. And it looks great when it's out of Damascus and stuff like that. And it looks great like this. But shit, if you put this on a 3-inch knife, it would take up 3/4 of the body. So luckily this is a big knife. 3.6-inch blade, 3.7, I forget. Something like that. We'll put it up here. Look at that centering. Just dead center.
Dead center.
Dead center.
Just really, really nice. Look at that big beefy jimping. Custom Knife Factory. They don't make crap. They only make good shit. That backspacer is just badass looking. Wow. I'm just super impressed with this thing. Boy, that stop pin. Look at the size of that stop pin, man. Look at the stop pin on your full size. This thing has a longer blade. Right? Well, a hair longer, not much. So this thing must be 3.7, 3.8 on the blade. But it's got a longer blade. Look at the difference in the stop pin. We'll separate the blade a little bit from the stop pin so you can see it really well. Look at the stop pin diameter difference. That's crazy. And as it should be. Big giant blade, big heavy giant blade needs a good stop pin. Well, I was hoping I didn't cut myself. Boy, look at that. I think that's a Damascus, maybe a black Damascus pivot collar there. That's beautiful. Man, this is a crazy knife. Just such a well-made tool too. I mean, it's a hollow ground blade. It's not a very what would you call it? Aggressive hollow grind. It's very subtle. Like maybe it was on a big wheel, like a 14-inch wheel. So how they do the hollow grinds generally is they have a giant wheel turning this way, and it has a belt, sander belt on it, just like you would have on your little 1x30 sander, but 2 inches wide, and on a long track, 2x72 or something like that. I forget. But so, and you hold the blade up against that sanding with some kind of jig that lets you move it back and forth and make that hollow grind. Does that make sense? And some hollow grinds you can see that they are on a much smaller wheel, because the hollow grind is more like whoop whoop. This one's more like just barely curved down, and that means it was on a big wheel. But it also means that it comes to a super fine edge and is very sharp and will stay sharp even after multiple sharpenings. It's so thin behind the edge because it's such a tall grind coming down to that fine edge and such a nice hollow that it would cut the shit out of you anyway, like it already did to me. So even though it's not super paper cutting sharp, it is sharp enough. M390, 735. I think this is a number 735. I think this is a Rotten Evo 3. I think that's what it is. Man, that's a lovely sound. Listen to it. Just nice, man. The lock access is ridiculous because there's so much room in here because the blade's so thick, right? So when the blade's out of the way, man, you have half an inch of space there to open the lock. It's just like one of the easiest locks that I've ever messed with, really. The reverse flick is great with this big old thumb hole. The thumb flicking is great. And that's, well, you got these little things that are kind of like thumb studs, but they're actually not really thumb studs. You could kind of use it, but they're not super comfy. They're actually the blade stop. So the blade stop that we see here, the big fat boy there, is for the stop on the close. So it's, the blade's hitting it right there. You can probably see a mark right there where the blade hits that stop, right? And then on the open, these two, well, it's one pin going all the way through the blade, runs into the frame on those, a depression here and a depression there, and that's what stops the blade right there. And so it can't go any further this way, and then the lock drops over and locks it in. Let me do a little blade whack on it to see if it stays locked. No, I'm not doing that. Just kidding. Just an amazing knife, and you can come see it. And if you made the right appointment and talked to some people, they might even let you mess with it. I don't know if that's true. They let me do it because I beg and plead here at the Iowa Knife Museum to touch pretty knives like this. So that's all we have for today on this Rotten Evo. Have a nice day.